But graphic design, what is it now? It's about 100 years old. And graphic design has quite a wonderful, inspiring kind of a history. I mean, the history of design is full of Bauhaus and constructivism and de-steel, and I must admit I'm totally inspired by when I go back on those old movements, because the people in those days, maybe their ideas were wrong, and many of their ideas have been proved wrong, but they had a kind of a passion that is really inspiring. I mean, these people really believed that they could change the world, and they did their graphic design in a spirit that perhaps has been lost to some degree. And I look back at people like Hartfield, he's one of my big heroes, and I must admit I'm totally inspired by his work. But the recent history of design is not so inspiring. I think that designers today are going through some kind of a identity crisis. We sit in front of our computers and with our hand on the mouse, and we're pushing those pixels around the computer screen, and I honestly don't think that we know who we are anymore. Who in the hell are we? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Are we artists? Some of us are, I guess. Not too many. Are we graphic agitators? Are we? Well, yeah, there are some graphic agitators. I know some of them quite well. People like Jonathan Barnbrook and even to some degree Stefan Sagermeister is a guy like that for me. But even some of those graphic agitators now, I can count them, on my fingers of my one hand. There's maybe only 5 of them in the whole world that I can really respect. So are we packages of information? I think that's closer to the truth. I think we're the people who if you work for a magazine, you take the text from the editorial department and then you package it in some very interesting way, and I think we really are. We are packages of information, and quite often the people who take the text, the art director who takes the text from the editorial department doesn't even bother to read the article. It's just a matter of taking the text and packaging it to make it look glitzy and good and nice. Are we corporate slaves? People who just do what the clients tell them to do? I think to some degree we are. We are really quite subservient to our clients. And I would argue that somewhere over the past couple of generations, we designers have really lost something really valuable. We have lost our mission, I think. I think we've lost our plot. We have lost our storyline. I would go so far as to say that to some degree we have lost our soul. I think that to try to explain, why we have lost this soul, I started thinking about it, before I came here, and it seems to me that one of the really big curveballs that has done something to design is just modernism. This is, of course, modernism has been changing everything for the last 100 years, so it's been a driving force not just behind design, but behind all of our culture, behind architecture, behind everything for the last long time. And now when I think back about modernism and what it has done to us, I really think that in some very profound way that modernism has somehow fucked us up somehow. And I think we're just starting to wake up now to how it has done that, to what this really means for us. I got a real deep insight into this, what modernism has done to us, when I read a book by an American designer called Natalia Ilin is her name. She's actually from Russian heritage, but she's now in the United States of America. And she wrote a book called Chasing the Perfect. And she told this incredibly profound story about how during the First World War, the young people of the time, that young generation who was growing up at that time, how they were sitting in the trenches of the First World War, and they had these brutal experiences, and some of them had this experience of watching their compatriots, their friends, caught on the barbed wire in front of them, and they're howling there all night for mercy to be allowed to die so they don't have to suffer anymore. And then maybe at 4 o'clock in the morning, finally they die and there's quiet all over the trenches. And they lived through this kind of a brutality. And then they, after the First World War was over, then they go back to the real world. And then they become the people, the founders of the Bauhaus. They become the Gropius. They become the leaders of these movements, these modernist movements. And they are idealists. They are people who just can't take any more brutality. They just want to create this utopian, wonderful world. And I think to some degree, I would go so far as to say, even though it sounds a little bit flaky, that modernism was somehow born out of fear. And sometimes when I stand behind some art director or some designer, and I watch them pushing the pixels on the screen there with their hand there, and they're all obsessive, and they're all looking for that perfect thing on the screen there, that's nice balance and that perfect jazzy colors and all the rest of it, then I feel that same kind of a yearning for an idealized world that I think was born there in the First World War. And I think that kind of a fear still in some way lurks behind design today. So the second big curveball into the design profession, I think, is just simple consumerism. I mean, all of us, we designers, artists, architects, all of us, everybody, we all got caught up in this incredible wave of consumerism that came after the Second World War. I mean, it has, for the last, it has increased our consumption by factor of 3. It has changed our culture, authentic culture, to a consumer culture. It has turned citizens of a democracy into consumers. And for the last 50 years, you know, the money has been flowing, the bucks have been flowing, and we've all become really, really quite well off. And of course, we designers, we are somehow behind that flow. We are the people who keep some of this capitalist, and I'm not a lefty. I'm not using the word capitalist in some old lefty way. I don't like the left very much at all. I want to jump over the dead body of the left, actually. But I feel that we designers do keep the capitalist flow going. We are the people we are one of the driving forces behind consumption and glitz and cool and helping the corporations sell more and more stuff all the time. And we are the ones who help to sell a lot of this stuff. And I think that, I don't know exactly what the design schools are like here in Germany, but in Canada and the United States of America, when you go to school, then design school, then you are taught how to serve your clients the best way. You are taught how to, and I'm going to be very rude here, you're actually taught how to kiss corporate ass. This is to use Jeffrey Keely's very provocative term, which I found a few years ago, and I still love to say it in every talk I give. Or to borrow another term from another American designer who I really respect, a woman called Catherine McCoy. And she said that we designers have become like prostitutes, practitioners of the so-called oldest profession in the world,